All right, we're live.
Alrighty.
All right. How's everyone doing right now, huh?
Doing good.
Yeah, doing good.
All right, I'm just gonna make sure everything is in check. Yeah, says right here we're live, kicking. All right, how is everyone doing on their parts of the world, Kylene?
I'm doing great. Just it snowed the other day, so that was fun.
All right, very good, very good. And how about you, Alex?
That's going good. A little bit strange, obviously, with winter coming, everything's dark, so it's 5 o'clock here, and it's pitch black outside.
Oh, yes, that's frightening.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
fun
man.
driving to work at night where it looks night because I have to leave at like 5:30 a.m. and it's completely dark, and then when I leave work, it's after 6. So again, it's completely dark.
Yeah, here it's like, well, I mean, it's light most of the day, but even when it's supposed to be dark, it's like not as dark as it's getting on the East Coast. But it's still like it's kind of odd when you look outside at 4:45 and you're just kind of like, oh, there's still a little bit of sun out, and then 5 o'clock and like 5:30, you're just kind of like, and it's gone. It is gone. But we're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about Kylene's amazing and pretty interesting new book series, Blackbirds, which also has an audio recording version by Alexander, who has a very, very solid voice. Really helps immerse you in this world, this really dark and kind of gothic world, which we're gonna get into, as well as who both of you are, because I like dissecting. So the first question will be going to Kylene, which is hold on a sec. There we go. Where did you come up with it? Or rather, when did you come up with the idea for this series?
I came up with the Ancestry Universe series when I was in college for the first time. Okay, let me rephrase it the second time, because the first time I went to college, I was actually in high school through a program. And then when I went full-time college, I was in a creative writing course, and I was working with my friend Trini Grimm. And well, one of our conversations just led me thinking about like children of gods and stuff, because she was very religious for the Christian religion, and then I was telling her about mine because I'm pagan, and it just got me thinking about different aspects that I could write about with different religions to kind of teach people, like different myths and legends and acceptance. So that's kind of where I got the series from.
Interesting. Now, I will say this, and I've told you before. Well, first, let me explain to the people watching. The Ancestry Universe, or Blackbirds universe, tells the story of the main character named Lonan, who basically finds out he's part god and must set out on an adventure, as any good book series or even good story tries to tell you. Now, there is an issue that I had with the book, and this is nothing personal. It's that, and I've told you this before, the main character I kept thinking was named Logan. Instead, unfortunately, upon the third time reading it, I'm like, oh, it's not Logan. It is, in fact, Lonan. So I have to know, where exactly did you get the name Lonan from? Because it is a very interesting name. So where and how did you come up with it?
All of my characters, I actually go on different searches and find out names and meanings. And I kind of wanted to have this. His name is actually Lonan Brendan, at least it will be, but Lonan means blackbirds, which is what the title is about. It's actually the meaning of his name. And then Brendan, which is prince of or king of, because he's called the prince of the blackbirds. So a lot of, like, all of my characters, I came up with their names usually through internet searches and finding out different meanings of them, and what goes more based on the mythology that I am trying to tell, or the region they're in.
And in this case, it's Ireland, if I am having it correct, right?
Yes. Like this book and the next book I'm writing are both based in Ireland.
Very interesting indeed. I honestly, I love the setting, because it really, you have books take place, America and England, but the sort of gothic setting that's, in Ireland of all places is very I guess, rich and new. And that's something I found very interesting that I haven't really read before. Now, if I can put you off to the side for a second, Kylene, I'd like to talk to the real reason I think everyone came here. Me. Not just kidding. That's Alex.
I was waiting for it.
I know, I'm predictable. I apologize. But Alex, I did a little bit of background on you, and I found that you are a pretty, I don't want to say accomplished, but you're a pretty solid actor. So I kind of want to know is how long have you been doing it?
About 7 years now.
Interesting. When did you get your start?
Sort of by accident. So I went to university and I studied engineering, and then I got a second engineering degree. And so I graduated during the whole financial crash. And so I was going to jobs, and I was up against people that had, 2-3 years experience because their companies had gone under or they'd been let go and all this, that, and the other. And I was basically told, go away and do 2 years in some other industry or do unpaid internships and stuff. And that didn't really sit well with me. I didn't spend all that money and all that time to go away and do a different job, which ironically is what I ended up doing, because I lived just up the road from a TV studio, and I looked out the window one day and just thought, maybe they need some background actors. And literally I did one day on a soap over here called Emmerdale, and that was it. I was bitten by the bug, grabbed every class I could, did every job I could get my hands on, and luckily enough, it seemed to work out.
Oh man, that's really interesting. It's so was it really just as easy as that? Just like you start off as a background actor and you're just kind of like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do this for the rest of my life. And is that like, was it really just as easy as that?
Pretty much. When I was small, did the usual things, school plays and things, and I did some outside classes, and I did pretty well at it. But from sort of teens onwards, that all stopped for academic purposes. So I don't know if it's always been there, sort of lingering in the background, and I didn't realise until then, or whether it just sprouted out of nowhere. I don't know, but I'm glad it did.
Huh, interesting. Oh, hold on a sec. Just checking a look here. All right. So I also want to know another thing, and that's, you signed on to do the audio recording version of this series. So you must have had a chance to, get a breakdown of it and like even read a large portion of it. That's a lie. You have to read all of it, but
yeah.
I that really got me thinking. That's, what really drew you to this story? What about it just made you like, I want to record this? Like, usually there's like a draw that brings a person in. So what drew you in?
Combination of things. The original one was the same as yourself, that you get all these fantasy stories. They're either set in a completely fictional universe, they're set in America, they're set in England, they might have some Scandinavian in, etc. So the same thing, finding something that's not only based in Ireland but based in Irish mythology was very rare. Sort of Irish history with the English invasions and Catholicism coming in, a lot of the fairy tales and what we would term pagan aspects of Ireland kind of got washed away. So it's quite difficult to find those kind of stories outside of Ireland. So that interested me right off the bat. Both of my parents were born and raised in Ireland and moved over to England. So that also kind of made me want to get a little bit more in touch with the stories.
It's really interesting. It's always good to have, series that can actually, grab different types of people from different types of backgrounds. And it's really great to hear that this story grabbed you in a way that not a lot of other stories did. It's super fun and really gracious to hear that. But
I might cry. That made me happy.
No, it's truly remarkable. And, I'm not trying to take away, but moving back to Kylene, unfortunately. Sorry, we'll get back to you, Alex. I know I want to hear more.
I know.
But for you,
He's far more
Kylie,
interesting than me. It's fine.
well, I'll be the judge of that. But there was one thing that Alex did mention, that is the time period and even the background of which this story takes place, Ireland in a sort of Gothic setting. And to you, Kylene, I just got to wonder, what made you want to set this story in this time period? Was there something specific, or was it just, I don't think we have enough books or stories set in this era. I would like to tell one.
Actually, the reason why this particular book is set, I believe, in 2005 or 2010. I got to relook at my timeline, but originally this actually wasn't the first book in the series. The third book for the Deity Saga was actually the first book that I wrote for it. But it's actually ended up going to be 6 or 7 down the line now. But no, I wrote out almost the entirety of Awakening, which is the third book in the Deity Saga now. And I came up with a lot of characters that you're going to see coming in the next couple of books. And Lonan actually was a sideline character for the series originally. He was going to be the main character's love interest, so he was only going to be really a supporting character. And then I was like, well, I need to figure out how he became a child of the god, and then I need to figure out how this other character, who's going to be in a book soon that I don't want to mention yet, how he became a child of the god. And then they ended up being the first and second book in the Deity Saga because their backstories laid out so much groundwork for the series as a whole. And the fact that Lonan's story is actually the main focal point in the Deity Saga because he's in every single book, and his story just brought out the mythology itself. So I was like, well, then I'm just going to base it with his perspective instead and make his book the first book, and just went for there. So my actual timeline was set with Awakening, and then I had to count back with age, how old he was. So I don't know the exact year on hand, but Awakening, I believe, starts in 2010.
Oh, interesting. It was really because it really felt like it was this. The setting itself never felt like a modern setting, which is very interesting. It felt dark. It felt kind of, I don't want to say evil, but it didn't feel like something that you'd see taking place just in the modern era. It was really interesting. Just the way you kind of made me feel kind of, I don't want to say musty because that's a very gross word, but it really did make me feel like it was in a different, just it felt like a darker Tim Burton thing. It was,
yeah. There's very much a sort of Edgar Allan Poe kind of dealio, not just with the Raven, but as you said, there is almost like a time period jump backwards. Especially between the interactions between. Sorry, I nearly spoiled a little bit of something there, but yeah, between the birds and, as you said, the almost gothic feel about it.
Yeah. Well, it was designed to be that because Stone Creek is actually a magical city that's linked to Dublin through magic. So travelers can go there, but the residents and the ones that are aware of the magic get the full feel of the area. So it was actually written that way on purpose.
And speaking of birds, I would like to talk about my favorite characters in this book, because for those of you that haven't read it, there are 3 characters by the name of Fechin, Cromac, and Bran. Not the terrible Bran from Game of Thrones. This brand is actually useful. Okay, so something that they are basically, in a sense, kind of like the 3 Stooges of this series. I know that's a really harsh way to put it, but they are by far the most. They are very compelling and beyond entertaining. So my question for you, Kylene, is not only where did you get the names Fechin, Cromac, and Bran, and did you base the Ravens off anyone you know? And if they are, do you think they're watching? Do you think they're gonna read it and be like, oh, that's me?
All right. Bran, Cormac, and Fakine, actually, their names I got off of the same site, and all of them mean raven in different forms. So
Really?
that was kind of, yeah, that was my gimmick, was I named them all Raven. Like one of them means little, like Fakine means, I believe, little raven, which is why he's the youngest of the ravens, and then the other two just mean raven.
Oh, it's
But
Fakine?
they weren't.
That's the name of the.
It's Fakine, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did not know that. Wow, I sound like an idiot now. But what are you gonna do?
In all fairness, I did tell you like the last time we talked.
That is true. That is true. But I did. It's honestly. I'm sorry. I gotta gush. It's a really great series. I honestly can't wait to read more down the line.
But they weren't actually based on anyone in particular. Actually, funny story. When I was writing them, my husband, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to work their personalities and their dialogue, and my husband was like, "Why don't you have them in threes, where it's like the straightforward one, the abrasive one, and then just like the free spirited one?" So I'm like, okay. So that's why I made Brand the leader, because I was like, just when I was writing his dialogue, it seemed more like the straightforward, the reliable one, and Cormac was more of the realist, which is why some of his lines were kind of, cut straight dry to the point.
Oh.
And then Fakine is always the free spirit and is always happy.
Oh man, because each one of them do feel distinctly different, though they all play a huge role in helping Lonan on his journey. And like one thing that I have to know is that what drove you? What really drives you to tell? What drove you to make this story? Like we know why you made it, but like with writing comes passion. So what made you, like, what gave you that spark?
Okay. So growing up, I read a couple of series that involve children of God. It's like Rick Riordan's series and things like that. And I liked them, but they just didn't feel like they went enough into the lore for my liking, for like the actual religion, because at that time I was studying religion really heavily for around the world, because I was picking what I wanted to be, because it was around high school. Because I grew up Catholic, but I was just like, it's not working for me. I still believe in gods, multiple, not one. So then I was looking through different religions. I was reading all these books, and then I came across Rick Riordan, and I was reading his fantasy story. And then I was just like, you know what? There's more out there than this. Like, and then when I got into college, when I actually started creative writing, they were telling me that the stuff that I'm really interested in, that I should write more about, because it's stuff I'm more knowledgeable about. And I was always interested in world religion. So that's one of the, and then when I started talking to Trini, I just was like, you know what? I want to talk the story. I want it to be the child of Loki, which, yes, a minor spoiler, one of my characters is going to be the child of Loki very soon. And because I worship Hades and Loki. So I wanted those two characters in my story at some point. And she was originally going to be my focal point of my story, but then I'm like, no.
That's really interesting. I'm really glad to hear that. It's always important to like have inspiration and to like, look at somebody's work and think, this is great. I feel like I can do this on my own. Rick Riordan was, actually my favorite author growing up. It's not in my room right now, but downstairs I have all of his books, lined up in a row, just so beautifully organized. And I honestly have to say, when I heard that his Percy Jackson series was getting a TV adaptation, I honestly just, I squealed like a fangirl who just found out that their favorite hot boy actor is playing us like the part again. So, I'm a fangirl and fanboy through and through, same as you. But moving away from you, Kylene, I want to ask Alex a few more questions, if that's all right with you, of course.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, on your page, it also mentioned that you were a male model, or rather are a male model. So when did that begin, and do you enjoy it?
Yeah, that's it. So when I began, I picked up literally any job in performance I could get my hands on. and it's not model as in catwalk sense. It's maybe for catalogs. We've got a shop over here called Argos. I've been in a few of their shoots for commercials and that kind of thing. So it's not get dressed up and have your hair done and walk down the catwalk kind of deal. It's more the soft commercial side of it.
Really? All right, that's really cool. Now, is this something that you can see yourself doing like further down the line, or is there or kind of like any job, like at some point, are you going to look at it and be like, I think I might not want to do this anymore?
What do you mean with voice acting?
For modeling.
Oh yeah, to a huge degree, it's already sort of phased out of what I do. The current situation has sort of sped that up a lot. So it used to sort of be, let's say, 25% modeling, 50% screen acting and presenting, and then 25% voiceover. This year, I'm 100% voiceover. So I've been building my studio and my sound booth and all that kind of thing. And I think really that, I'll still do the occasional job, but it's certainly not going to be a big part of my career from now on.
Okay, that's at least good to hear. And you mentioned you have a sound booth. I'm guessing that's for the voiceover work that you're trying to get into, right?
Yes.
Okay. What's your setup like over there? I've seen a lot of home voiceover actors like have an entire like wall dedicated just to sound dampeners and microphone setups. So what type of gear do you have to help with this?
So at the moment, I moved into a new house last year. So I am in. It's a glorified pillow fort at the moment. So it's duvets and blankets that have all been attached to the wall to hopefully reduce the amount of reverb in the room. However, my studio, which is partially finished, is an exterior building. The whole wall has been double insulated. There's a big insulating curtain that goes across the door to double that. Then the sound booth it's essentially a frame at the moment, but everything's out there, and it's just time putting it together at this point.
Wow, that's insane. How like you said, this studio's not part of your house; it's a different building, right?
Yeah.
Is this something you have to rent, or is it like you pay for it once and you're like one and done?
No, it's part of my home. So weirdly enough, when we came looking around the house, we got into the garden. It's just like, what is that at the bottom of the garden? They said it's a shed. We use it for gym equipment and stuff. So it was like, all right, can we have a look at it? So I had a look at it, and it was a proper breeze block building construction. It got permits and everything, so it just hadn't been featured in the ad. So nobody had really considered it. And then when we moved in, it was almost in the perfect position. It had power, it had some lighting already in it. So really, the shell was almost perfect for me to start work on.
Wow. And, how long have you been voice acting?
Almost the entire time. That, again, was an accident. I thought I was applying for an on-screen job doing a bit of presenting, and then I got told, oh no, it's a voice acting job, you're gonna have to come down, because at the time I didn't have any facilities of my own, but they had a booth that they were happy for me to use before all this happened. And yeah, so by accident I'd applied for the job and not realized that it was a voiceover gig. But again, after doing it, I thought, I like this, I want to keep going. So again, more voice acting classes, started picking up my own gear and started doing my own thing.
Man, that's really cool. I once tried getting into voice acting myself, but turns out not very good at it. So, thankfully it's always good to find someone who's good at it. They're actually accomplishing quite a bit. But to try and make this a little more fun, this whole book series is about gods, mad beings, mad powerful beings. So, that being said, I have a question for you, Alex, and that's, you don't have to answer, but what god would you be? If you were a god from any sort of, Egyptian, Norse, Roman, Greek, what god would you be?
I'd have to go for Greek and Hephaestus.
Hephaestus.
He's the smithing god. He makes Zeus's thunderbolts.
Ooh. And I'm guessing this is the version of him that isn't horribly disfigured from being thrown off Mount Olympus.
Preferably.
Preferably, yes, preferably. That is, I would not want to be. I mean, Hephaestus makes incredible things in Greek mythology. He is, however, so ugly that even Medusa refuses to look at him. So let's say
there are downsides. But...
Yep, exactly. And Kylene, you get the same question. What god would you be?
Loki. Loki, straight up.
I don't know why I asked that question. I feel like I already knew you were going to say that. It feels like a go-to. For me, I think I would be. I think I'd be Poseidon. I love the ocean, and plus, he's almost a dick in Greek mythology. Almost. So thankfully he's not the worst person in the world. He's no Zeus. That's as long as you're not Zeus. I think you'll be fine. But I actually do want, the next couple of questions, I actually want to pass this off to both of you. And the first one of these questions is, what are your dream projects? Kylene, you have the first one to start.
Oh, my dream projects. I'm pretty much doing a lot of them. I guess it's not really one particular project. I always have the drive that I want to create something. Whether it be writing, cosplay, or film or television, I want to create things because I just feel like I've wasted my day without doing it. So I guess if I did have to pick one, it would be my Demon Masters Universe series and the one that I'm working now, Ancestry Universe. Those were my two longest projects that I've ever worked on. Like my Demon Masters, I worked on since junior year of high school. And Ancestry, I worked on since 4 or 5 years after that. So I guess I'm starting to do them.
That's really awesome. A lot of people really don't get to live out their or even do their dream projects. So to see that you're getting yours done, very heartwarming to say the least. All right, Alex, same question. What's your dream project? Or what are your dream projects?
There's a company over here called Games Workshop that make Warhammer, if you've ever heard of it.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. So they've got a department called the Black Library that do books and audiobooks. Ever since I realised that audiobooks could be a big part of my life, it's working for them. That's been the top of my pile, as it were.
So you want to do an audio recording or either an audiobook for a Warhammer series?
Yes.
Oh man, I'd be down for that. I'd be pretty down for that. I'm not gonna lie. Kylene, you be down for that?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I used to play Warhammer years ago.
Oh man. All right. Next question. Same for the both of you. Similar fun one. Now, the book has something called the Staff of the Elements. Pretty powerful. Not as powerful as, say my washing machine, but, still powerful enough. So what would you guys use the Staff of the Elements for? Kylene?
I need to think about, I was going to say, I need to think about this one. Let Alex go first.
All right, Alex, what would you use the Staff of the Elements for?
I've got a bland answer and a fun answer. The bland answer would be electricity, because rather not have to pay my power bill.
Everyone would, yes.
The more fun answer would be for sort of to make every day a little bit easier. So set things on fire to cook. You could stir up a wind to blow stuff out of your way. Just general mischief during the day.
And Kylene's supposed to be Loki here. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I literally would probably do Loki and become an anti-hero.
So we're anti-hero. Loki. Okay, fair enough. What would
I'd probably try
do?
to take over the world at some point.
Yep. Okay, there we go. That's the answer I was looking for. Now, for me, I would use the Staff of the Elements for something far more sinister, and that is, I would use it to make my shower just a little bit hotter. Just a little bit. Like the water here, my water heater here is like kind of okay. Sometimes I can get that burning sensation in the shower, but I want it to be more consistent. So I'm going to use the Staff of the Elements to make the water not scalding hot, but just a little bit hot. I want to enjoy my shower.
Evil, Noah. So evil.
Yes. Actually, no way. I would use the Staff of the Elements to make sure I don't have to pay my water and electric bill.
Ah.
That's like $4,000 saved right there. Damn it! Where can I find this Staff of the Elements? Oh, right, it doesn't. All right. But I guess my final question, and this is just one that I actually kind of want to ask for the both of you, same as the other two, is, do you see yourselves? Where do you see yourselves in 5 years? Just after this, you clearly have you, Alex, have a clear knack for, voice acting. And I only see you after this, you're probably going to make that Warhammer book, I mean, I do have faith that you will be able to do it. And Kylene, you and I both know that this series is going to be big. So I just want to know, where do you guys see yourself in 5 years? Kylene, you may start.
Oh, I may. Well, I guess in 5 years, I'd see myself completed with college finally, because I went back again after taking a very long hiatus. So I'll have my degree in mass communications. And I'm hoping to have my company made Blood Ties, which is a feature film that I'm getting ready to make, and some web series and stuff. So I guess kind of almost where I'm at now. I mean, obviously not the exact setting I'm at now, but just creating projects in the next 5 years and maybe traveling some for on-set locations and stuff. Being able to do that would be amazing.
Okay. And for you, Alex?
Well, first off, I'm going to get my studio finally finished. It's been inching along this year due to everything that's gone on. So I'm hoping that probably spring, so a bit quicker than 5 years, that'll be ready. And then, as you say, I've got a little timeline of where I want to be in the next year, the next 2 years. And by 5 years, I'm really hoping to be working for Black Library.
I have full faith that, you'll be able to work for Black Library. And considering I graduated with a film degree, I got to say, Kylene, I assume you'll be able to graduate, because I mean, you're a very hard worker. So I don't see how you won't be able to graduate and get all this stuff done. It's just an impossibility.
It's just all the breaks.
I'm kidding.
Because I got kids. I wasn't expecting kids when I was young, but best decision ever.
Okay, so try and I have one more question for you, Kylene, before we can try to move questioning into a little more fun. Because I do have some little fun questions I want to ask you guys. A little more fun than the Staff of Elements one, but we'll get there. And that's there's this mentor character called Willick. If that's did I pronounce it correctly, Willick?
Yes.
All right. And he is a kind of crass but clearly caring character. He does seem familiar, but he has a sort of individuality for him. So kind of similar to where the question for Lonan came from. Who did you, if you based Willick off of anybody, who? And rather than just asking, oh, what drove you to write him? Did you have fun writing him? Did you really felt like you were drawn to him, or was he just kind of like, okay, he's a character, let me just try and get his story out of the way?
So Willick was planned when I first decided to make a prequel for Lonan, because I knew he was going to be abandoned by his parents. I didn't know who was going to take care of him to begin with, but it had to be something that someone that could teach him how to fight, because he's my youngest character to ever be awakened with his powers. So I'm like, I need a character that is based in Ireland, because that's where Lonan's based, and things like that. So when I was creating Willock, I did have someone in mind for some of the personality traits. Like, an old friend of mine would be he's like a raging alcoholic. Like, he doesn't drink normally, but when he does, he becomes, oh my God. Anyways, but that was my idea for him. Like, all in all, he's a great person and fun to be around, but when he's drunk, forget it. But that was my idea for that. That was my idea for him for that personality trait. But in general, when I was making Willock, I was thinking, okay, what sort of person would have the type of skills Lonan needs in the story, and would be able to brush off the fact that he knows he's a child of a god and not scare him off. So I'm like, oh, I know, IRA. Like, because I used to watch like Burn Notice and things like that. So I was just like looking more into the research then because of that. And I was just like, you know what? That would explain why he's as gruff as he is, why he became an alcoholic, and then his initial combat training and stuff, and being able to shrug off the spoiler at the end that happened, like being able to shrug that off because he was used to that kind of stuff for being in it. And that actually gave me an idea for another story, but that's for my comics later.
And you know, I feel like this goes without saying, but do you really like, you see this turning into a huge franchise, right?
I don't want to jump the gun on anything because you know I don't want to get jinxed from it. But I think as long as even just a handful of people, if they like and appreciate the story, then I'd be happy with that, because this is the story that I want to tell regardless. So the more people that like it, the better. But regardless, I'm going to release it in my own time. Like, it's coming out, because this has been in my head for like 10 plus years. It needs to be told by now.
All right. And with that being said, I'm just going to take a quick second and, once again, remind everybody of this amazing series, Blackbirds. It will be coming out relatively soon, right?
No, the series is called Ancestry Universe. The first book in it is called Blackbird's Life of a Thief.
Yeah.
And the book itself is out, and then the audiobook will be out next Friday. And I do have a comic adaptation for Ancestry Universe, which will go more in depth on like it did for the story, but a lot of that I couldn't touch into. It'll be like fleshed out a lot more in artwork. As a matter of fact, I do have the cover for the first book, which is called Life of a Thief, incidentally, and that is a picture of Korner.
To the camera. Center it up a little bit. Perfect.
It will be the cover is on my Patreon, and it will be released on my Patreon as they're released, but it won't go public on Tapass until around June of 2021, because it's going to be a lot of work and take time because I'd like a decent page count before I start releasing it to the public.
6 months for that? That's a shame. But,
in the meantime, there's books.
In the meantime, there is books. So I recommend anyone that's watching to go pick up a copy as soon as you can, because I got to tell you, it's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster.
I prefer the audio version. Alex has a great voice. Let me just say that right now. Like, I literally got chills the first time I heard the book. I'm like, oh my God. I had to listen to it like 10 times in like a week.
I cannot argue with that. If wait for the audiobook version, which is coming out, you said, on Friday.
Yep.
Sorry, what?
Yes, it's coming out Friday, and it's going to be on like major retailer sites, like 24 of them or 30 something. I don't remember exactly how many.
Either way, you have your options. I do personally think the best way to read this book is to get yourself a copy, and then get yourself a copy of the audio version as well, as Alex's voice really helps just immerse you into this world. So with that being said, now I'd like to round things off with a couple of just relatively fun questions, if you guys have the time, of course.
Sure.
All right.
Yep.
So, this whole franchise is about power. It's about gods and destiny. So, my first question is, what ability would you want? This could either be, like a superpower, or it could be like an ability like, controlling the movement of the knife when you're throwing it. So it could either accelerate speed or decelerate speed. Alex, I'll leave this question up to you first.
Yeah, this one's a bit of a cheat, but immortality, because if you live forever, anything can be overcome. So you could learn anything, you could acquire any skill. You've got all the time in the world.
That's probably the best way to put it. When you're immortal, you got all the time in the world. Perfectly summed up right there. Kylene?
Okay, so mine is similar but not quite. I do have an idea of an ability that I was actually writing for fanfic. So it's basically you have the power to like touch a person or an object and take its power momentarily. Like it's like draining a part of their essence, but like you can gain their abilities. Like if they're like a magical god and have super strength, you have super strength for a short while, or they can fly, you can fly for a little bit. Just be careful not to be too high when it wears out. Just things like that.
So like Rogue, you would like the power of Rogue, but without, killing people.
Well, yeah, you can if you decided to, and like that would keep you with the power permanently, but it's one of those not like Rogue where you can actually switch it on and off if you want to, where she can't.
Okay, pretty interesting. For me, I think I would love the power of teleportation. It's like fly, because technically you could teleport your body 1,000,000 times a second and technically hover in midair, because that's, you're teleporting, you're just staying there constantly. Plus, it would make air travel just so much easier. All I have to do is just like, I have to be there in 5 hours. So I'm going to do for 4 hours and 59 minutes. It just makes traveling so much easier. Plus, I don't ever have to leave my room. I need to get food, teleport down to the fridge, or to a Wendy's, frightening everybody because some dude just teleported there and is like, hey, can I get that double McRib? Wait, that's McDonald's. You get my idea, though.
Yeah.
All right. Since we're also talking about franchises, as Ancestry will become a huge franchise down the line, because it is, as I keep saying, really good. What is your guys' favorite franchises? Kylene?
Oh God. Ruby.
Ruby?
The animated, the animated series by Rooster Teeth. That is my favorite. It was once upon a time until I started watching Ruby, but it's Ruby now.
Oh, yeah, I could totally see that. Ruby is by far a very good series, and also beautiful. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful series to look at.
And I'm throwing this out there now. If Rooster Teeth, if you see this, make a Team Stark prequel movie. I'm begging you. I want to see Summer and everyone could have their time at school.
I would do the same thing though if everyone was watching. All right, Alex.
Raymond D. Feist's Magician series. It's a book series based around a young magician called Pug.
Oh man. Who was it on? Did you say it was written by?
Raymond D. Feist.
Raymond D. Feist. Damn. What's the series about? I've actually never heard about it.
So, Pug the Magician, it starts off with him in his youth finding out that he has a gift. It's set in an entirely fictional universe, and then the series roughly follows his life. There's a few segues here and there, but it's almost that classic fantasy knights, medieval, wizards. There's an element of high fantasy to a lot of it, especially as you get further on. But to begin with, it's low fantasy. It's about everyday struggles of individuals, and I think that's one of the things that really draws me to a lot of series. Is yes, they're set in a sci-fi universe, they're set in a fantasy universe, but it's their genuine human interactions and struggles that make a story what it is. And I think that's one of the few that really does hit on it from beginning to end. And it's one of those books that I grew up with. I found it on a library shelf, The Magician, the first book, and then as they were released, it was one of those things that I was able to pick up and continue throughout the years. And that's always one of the things that sticks with people, is the things they grow up with. So when you go back and look at it and you think, that's not great, but there's always something that keeps bringing me back to it, and I keep rereading the series over and over again.
It's always truly incredible to have and love a series that you had, that you kind of discovered yourself and started at, like, when you were way younger. For me, my favorite franchise is Percy Jackson, or rather anything by Rick Riordan, because the way he made a statement that you can find family in people that are not related to you. And just as any good storyteller does, he really found a way to make me care so deeply about each one of these individuals, Percy, Annabeth, and even the Seven. It really brought me into this world. And and as a kid with ADHD, the whole series is about, Percy Jackson, who has ADHD, finds out he's the son of a god. And, for someone who, I don't want to say suffered through it, but, had to deal with it growing up, it made me feel alone. And reading this series made me feel a little less alone. And if the series is able to connect with you on like a level like that, then, it's done its job. So moving away from the relatively bittersweet questioning, I actually would like to remind people that are watching, if you would like to ask any questions, leave it in a comment and I'll ask away, because as much as I have fun asking them questions, there might be some things that, I don't have on mine. So bringing up these questions may be very fun, and you can literally ask them anything, almost anything.
They can ask anything. Whether we answer or not is another story.
That's the fair point. That is a very, very fair point. But speaking of fun questions, this time has been relatively hard for all of us. Americans had to deal with an election that really strained everybody. And we also had to deal with an ongoing pandemic. So in the 9 months since the 2-week, closement or quarantine started, what have you guys been doing to, keep yourselves entertained, or rather keep yourselves from going just crazy?
I binge watched so much.
Kylene, you may start. What have you been doing?
I've been binge watching so much TV and movies. I mean, like, I literally, for the beginning of it, would do nothing but be on my phone watching stuff, other than, when I took care of the kids. But, like, I literally closed myself off.
Your kids can take care of themselves. But what happens on the newest episode of what show was popular when March started? You get the point.
I started watching Lucifer around then. That's actually when I started watching Lucifer.
And let me guess, you think the guy who plays Lucifer is extraordinarily handsome and has an amazing voice, right?
Tom Ellis? He is handsome and has a great voice, but no, that wasn't my original thought. It was more Kevin Alejandro. He's so freaking hilarious. I actually got to talk to him on GalaxyCon for one of the things and interview him for the channel before, but like he's so fun and easy to talk to. Like I want to do that again. That was really cool.
Oh, man. That's really interesting because, my mother and my sister both watched Lucifer, and, them like my girlfriend and every other woman I know were just drooling over this guy, and I watched it, and yeah, he's extraordinarily attractive, and this series is overall really good. Doesn't make me hate it any less, though. For Alex, what have you been doing? Have you been exercising? Have you been just trying to keep yourself, solemn in your work? Like, what have you been doing to try and pass the time?
Yeah, well, as with a lot of things in the entertainment industry, the way I work had to change quite rapidly because I'd lost quite a few contracts. But then again, I picked up some voiceover stuff. So I spent far too much time working throughout the day. But when I do get a little bit of time not working or looking after my little one, I make Warhammer figures, do little model dioramas and stuff. And it's the same sort of thing. So telling a story through a different medium.
That just sounds so much. That just sounds like so much fun, man. And oh, hold on, we do have a comment, and that's from Debbie, who says, "Hi, Kai." It's not a question, but it is someone saying hi. So
yeah, it's my sister. Hi, Debbie.
And from DZ12345 WAC93 says, "Wanna become fame Fahus, buy followers, prime viewers at." Okay, that's a spam link. We got a spam link.
Yep. Yep.
So
that's how you know you're doing something right.
Yeah, well, we are definitely doing something right if we got a spam link. So whoever sent us that spam link, we really appreciate it. We're not going to click it. I'm sorry, but we're not going to. I don't want a computer virus, and I'm pretty sure I don't want to waste their time by reading each individual thing that I find. But considering, we're almost up to an hour. So once again, I remind you all, if you have a comment, if you have a question, please leave it, and I'll make sure to pass it off to Kylene and to Alex. But for right now, my last question, I'm going to try and leave you all with a little bit of hope, because this year 2020 has been just horrible. Like even there's a reason why a lot of my friends call it 2016 too, because it's just an exceptionally bad year. So what are your hopes for 2021? What are your hopes for it? Alex, you may start.
Well, my little one will be starting nursery, so I'm a combination of anxious and hopeful for that. So she'll be spending more time away from us, and obviously this year she's only left the house for going to the park and that kind of thing. So that's the thing I'm both looking forward to the most and I'm most anxious about.
As any parent would be, that's really good to hear. And I hope the best for her as well as for you.
Thank you.
Kylene, is there something you're hopeful for 2021?
I'm hoping that the school doesn't close down so I can actually be on campus, because online learning I can do, but it does suffer my grades a lot. I'm also hopeful for the proof of concept video. Like I'm really looking forward to shooting that. Oh my God, you have no idea. I've been working on this story for a while. I'm so glad it's as far as it is. Yeah, and I'm writing. Like, I'm going to be writing my next novel for this. It's called Pot of Gold. It's the first book in the Leprechaun series, but it's also set in the Ancestry universe. So it's my second book that's based in Ireland, and it's going to introduce a whole bunch of new characters. It's in a different perspective, but you will see Lonan and a couple other characters again along the way. But it's not particularly his story, but he does play a key role in their lives.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm looking forward to the next book in the Ancestry universe, because this, as I have to keep reminding everybody, because you have to read it. It's just so good. This universe is rich and lush, and it's just so interesting to read. Plus, the characters are super likable and compelling, especially the Three Stooges Ravens. I honestly have to admit, you know, they're an absolute ball to read. Which actually, that was a question I wanted to ask, which was if the Three Ravens were going to be voiced by anybody, who would the three voices be?
To be honest, I wanted to make it on a YouTube video with voiceover actors, and I was going to have everyone voiced separately. But after hearing the audiobook, if I did this, Alex would probably be voicing all of the characters from this book again because he hit them so spot on, especially Lonan and Fakim, like 100%. Like I can't now. I had someone. Okay, so truth be told, Alex was actually my second choice for a voice actor. The one that I originally had to back out, and I'm 100% glad he did. I'm 100% glad he did because now I can't see anyone else in the series.
Scandal. But I guess good that everything worked out to the benefit. All right.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to leave things for now. If they're like last chance, if you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comments right now, and I'll try to get them asked. So I'll give you. Let's just. Nope. No comments. No questions. Well, unfortunate, but understandable. So that being said, I'd like to thank Kylene, and I'd like to thank Alex for coming on by. This is my channel. I own this. This is definitely mine, and I'm definitely not hosting because, you know, I have a large amount of respect for Kylene and for Alex. Nothing but absolute respect. So I'd like to thank you both for coming. I want to thank Alex in particular. You were very interesting, and you made this, you know, very easy for me. Just because I was a little nervous, but overall, you were just such a blast to listen to and talk to. I'm thankful that I got this chance. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And to
Yes,
you, Kylie.
and thank you for hosting, Noah.
What?
I said, and thank you for hosting, Noah. I do appreciate it.
I appreciate you allowing me to host, and I really hope you all get a chance to pick up Blackbirds. You know, Life of a Thief. You'll have a blast. It's such a fun read, and I promise you, once you're done reading it, you're gonna want to know what happens next, because as with any good book, it leaves you wanting more. And
there is a chance to get a free copy.
Oh, that is right. Kylene, would you like to say something?
Yes. If you want a free copy of the ebook for Blackbirds, if you go on my website, KyleneMcHenry.com, under the literature tab with Ancestry Universe, there is a Google form. And if you want to review the book, I will provide an ebook copy of the book for you so you can review. It's limited for who I'm going to do that for. And I will be holding a contest soon for free signed paperback and hardback copies, as well as promotional codes to download the audiobook for free through Author Direct. Details will be on my website, so please be sure to subscribe to that and get added to the mailing list so you can find out about that for future.
All right, good. Hope you all caught that. And all right, sorry, I'm having a good time. But you know, with that being said, I guess it's time to end the broadcast. So, Alex, thank you. Kylene, thank you. And to everyone watching, have a great rest of your day. Please stay safe, wear a mask. Don't forget to get that hand sanitizer on your hands. And please, for the sake of everybody, have a good day. Thank you all. See you later.
Bye.